everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, as you can see here behind me, we're going to be framing this 5,149 square foot house. It's a massive house full of lots of details. Come along with us in this series as we build this home here behind me. Before we go any further, I want to remind you guys that we hit 300 subscribers on our YouTube channel. That means we're doing a giveaway of a $50 Visa gift card. All you have to do to enter into that giveaway is click down below and subscribe. Comment the word framing and you'll be entered into that giveaway. We're going to announce the winner next week, July 28th, that Monday at 7 p.m. We're here a week early before we start framing the house because we wanted to check on the job site, make sure that we don't need to do anything for our part as the framers. The concrete guys are hard at work as we speak, getting this thing done and cured and ready for the framing. Right now, what they're doing is finishing the slab, and it should be done today. And then from there, we're going to let it sit for a week. Then we're going to come back and start the framing process. So we'll see you guys in a week when we get ready to start framing. We're back on site. Framing is getting going as we speak. We got 2x6 walls, and the first wall actually put up here behind me. We let the concrete cure for a week, and now we're getting going on the framing phase. Before we go any further though, let's go over some cool details that we're building on the home, and so we'll take you guys to show you the plans right now. Here's the house that we're going to be building. It's a 2-story home with a balcony out the front. It's got some really cool features. It's not over the top complicated, but it's really nice and really spacious on the inside. This is the front view of the home. They have a nice big front door right here, multiple windows on the bottom and a second story, along with a dormer up here, a dormer over there. This is the balcony from the second story that goes into the master bedroom up here. So that's a really cool detail. And what makes that cool is if we pan around, and I know you can't tell from the video, but this is up on a hill. So this house is on a hill looking out over a really big lake. And so from that balcony, once we get it built, we'll give you guys some footage of what it looks like from up there. So 4th of July, holidays, just beautiful times where you want to sit outside and drink a cup of coffee and read a book. You can go on that balcony and you can really enjoy the views and enjoy the nice scenery of the lake. And then you can also just enjoy the breeze being up on this hill too. So on a hot, cool day here in Texas, this balcony is going to be really, really cool. On the back patio, or the back of the house, we have a door out of the garage, which is nice. So if you ever want to go from the garage with a lawnmower or something, you can go straight out the door, or easy access for stuff from the backyard. You don't have to go through the nice living room and kitchen area to get to the garage. You can be all muddy and then go in the garage, get cleaned up, and then go into the house. So that's a back door to the garage. You got a French door to the back of the house. You got a nice view from up here in the little game room and the media room up top, and then a couple windows just for some views out of the rooms. So that's the back and the front of the house. On the right side of the house and the left side of the house, it's nothing overly complicated. You have a nice little grill over here on the patio. This kind of gives you a view from over there, and this will be a spot that on the back patio they'll have a lot of space inside the patio, and then on the very edge they have the grill. On the front, there's nothing in particular. You just got a side view profile of the balcony right there, along with side view profile of the lower patio right there, and then you have a couple windows on the side of the home. Nothing overly extraordinary. Right here you have a side entry onto the home. This is into the mud room on the house, which once they get the driveway built, you'll be able to go from the driveway to the mud room through that door right there, which will be really nice for rainy days and whatnot. You can go, you don't have to walk all the way to the front door. You can park your car here, jump into the little covered area, and then go through the door and get cleaned up. So this is the garage as well, 2-car garage right here. And that's pretty much it. Another side profile of the balcony, side profile of the front porch, side profile of this little entry to the mudroom. This is the framing plan for the entire first floor. It's a little bit complicated. It looks like a lot is going on, but for the framers, this is very vital as to how to frame the first floor. It shows all of our door locations, all of our window locations, all of our measurements from wall to wall. We got measurements for staircase, where the positions of beams go. Like we know that wall goes there, beam goes there, beam goes there. and so forth, along with which individual rooms are which individual rooms. You got locations of cabinets. You got a bunch of details that are needed when it comes to framing a house. So this right here helps me be able to frame the entire house from the ground up. And so this is the same thing on the first floor and the same thing on the second floor. It's going to look very similar, but I'll show you guys that after I show you all the beams that's going to be going over the first floor. We have all of our headers that are listed out through Frisco Wholesale Lumber, who supplied everything for the job. They went ahead and engineered out all of our header locations, but we did make a little slight change for our inspector to be a little happier. A lot of these walls are not load bearing because the way that our joist locations go, but we're changing all of the headers to 2x12s, as you can see from my notation right there. So we're changing everything to 2x12s just to make the inspector happy, and so we don't have any problems with that. Then the next page is our web trusses with all of our beam locations and all of our joist locations on where they go. You have standard web trusses right here. The red indicates a beam. You have the indication of the number. So let's say B3. So we take B3, which is right there. We come over here to our beams. B3, it's going to be 2 1.75 inches by 16 inches tall by 16 feet long LVLs. That's what indicates how many it goes right there. The colors, however, indicate what joist is going to go where. So all these green marks right here are indicated by the green over here on our key or our legend, and then all of the orange right here in the front, same thing, indicated by the orange right here in the front. So that's how that works, and it's really simple and really easy to understand now that it's color coded. You got second floor framing plan. This is the same thing as the first floor, indicates all of our walls and all of our door locations and everything else that we need to know for that. Same thing going up. We got header locations from Frisco on second floor, headers for all of our doors. All these don't have to be 2x12s because it's not a first floor, it's a second floor. The roof load is not as heavy as the floor load, so we don't have to do such big headers. A lot of these are 2x6 headers, and they work for our code down here in Texas. Going on to the next page, we have all of our joist locations for the second floor. A lot of these are 2x6s and 2x8s to make the span for the rooms, and then some of them I think are 2x10s as well. The orange ones are 2x10s, and that is what's going to be our ceiling joist for the second floor. And then lastly, we have our roof layout. Our roof layout is right here, and this indicates all of our ridge locations, valley locations. Ridge right there. There's a hip back here in the back as well. We got 2 hips, another one right there, another one right there, and then these other ones are valleys. And you got our patios with our slope ceilings on those, so that indicates all that. Lastly, Frisco also hooked us up with a roof plan. So this roof plan indicates where our ridge is going to go, what material that's going to be, 2x10, indicated by our legend over there. We got 2x6s in blue over here, and they also show the lengths of everything so that when we go to cut the roof, it's really easy to know what needs to be cut, and we don't cut something that we're not supposed to cut. So that's the house that we're going to be building in this series. We got a lot of cool details to go over throughout the series, so stay tuned for that. Put on the notifications. Make sure you subscribe. You're not going to want to miss it because we're going to document this entire house being built here behind me. But let me show you guys a couple details that we're going to do specifically for this home to make it more efficient. Number one of the first things that we're going to do is we're going to be doing 2x6 exterior walls on the entire perimeter of the home. And the reason that is so that we can have a 5.5-inch cavity of spray foam and not a 3.5-inch cavity of spray foam. Typically people do a 2x4 exterior wall, so we're going to go with a 2x6 exterior wall so we can have more spray foam and also help the plumbers and electricians and help with penetrations of nails, not hit those pipes or electrical wires because you got more space for them to be in the center. So those are some cool details that we're going to do for the entire perimeter of the building. Number 2 is we're going to be using web trusses for the entire floor system of the second floor. And why is that a cool detail? Well, because traditionally people will use 2x12s or they'll use TGI joists to do the entire floor system. But these, however, are a lot more stiffer and a lot more solid for the second floor, so you get less bounce. And another cool note is you have all these cavities so that you can run your electrical lines, HVAC lines, and your plumbing lines, which makes it easier for every trade. Yes, they're a little bit more expensive, but they give such a big benefit to every trade, and they also make the floor a lot more solid, and it makes for a quicker build because you can span longer distance as well, so you can have more of an open concept home. And another cool detail is right here in the middle they have a big old cutout, a big old chase opening, so that you can run your AC ducts all the way through, and you don't have to worry about being cut off from one part of the home by having a beam in the way or having a TGI joist in the way or 2x12 in the way. So this makes an open concept floor system for HVAC lines to flow through, electrical electrical lines to be ran a lot easier for the electrician and the plumber to have a lot more space. And for the framer ourselves, it allows us to span bigger distances and do less beams, which makes it a lot easier for us. So that's the second detail that we're doing. Here I'm gonna show you guys some more details. Number 3 is we're doing 10-foot walls on the entire first floor and 9-foot walls on the entire second floor. So as you can see, this wall is nice and tall. And why is that important? Because that allows for a grand effect whenever you walk into the home and makes the home feel a lot more spacious. Even though it's a big home, having 10-foot walls will make the home feel even bigger. So it's gonna make it more grand and more spacious. Number 4 is we're gonna be using seal on the bottom of our plates around the entire perimeter of the home for the first floor only. And what this does is it allows moisture not to wick up into the bottom plate of the wall. So if moisture was to ever get in here, like let's say it rained for a long time and there's any bit of moisture, even if it's 1% or even 2% of moisture, it can't wick up into our pressure treated bottom plate. Now this is rated for ground contact, so we shouldn't have to worry about that, but this is more so like a belt and suspenders approach. And on top of that, our inspector requires it because that is a state code or a county code over here in Fort Worth area. So we have to put this on. And so that's a good little thing that we do, and it makes the house a little bit more efficient. It keeps us from having any issues with water and helps us pass our inspection. We're gonna take a break from all of the details, and I'm gonna show you guys how we frame the first floor walls. We always start with our exterior walls. And why do we do that? Because if we were to frame the interior walls first, these would be in the way of standing up the exterior wall. So we always lay our exterior walls down, frame them first, and then lift those up. So then we can do the interior walls by laying them down this way and then standing them up and to fill in the inside of the house. That's how we go about framing all the walls. And we try to knock out the biggest ones first. So we take the biggest, longest section and do that one first and get all the hard stuff out, so that towards the end of the day, you're doing the smaller walls, and whenever you're gassed and exhausted and tired, you can take care of the 10-foot wall versus the 60-foot wall. So that's our concept. That's how we do it. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work like that, but we try to always start with the exterior walls, then do the interior walls, and work our way down to the smallest walls so that you can be nice and energized to be able to do that and not have to do the long one when you're exhausted. So that's how we do the walls. And then what we leave for last, after we do all of the walls, is all of the headers and beams. They're gonna start with the biggest one first, because obviously it's the morning, it's the next day, the second day of framing, and it's 9 a.m. We're gonna try and do the heaviest stuff first so that we're not as exhausted towards the end of the day with the Texas heat. And then we're gonna jump to all of the headers that are missing inside the home. For example, right here, over there, and so forth. So that way we can knock out the big beams first, then do the smaller headers, and then we can get everything braced off and move our way up to the floor joists. You may be wondering, why did they leave the headers off of the walls? That makes no sense. Why don't you just do it on the ground? It's a lot easier. And the answer to that is yes, you're right. It is easier on the ground. However, there is one downside. It makes the wall extremely heavy. So we have 6 guys, and doing a 60-foot wall, you could do it, but out here in the Texas heat, when it's 105 degrees, we try to do things that are a little bit less labor intensive so that you can last longer throughout the day and not be so gassed. So we leave the headers off, we throw the wall up, and then we go back with the ladder, and you just climb up the ladder, and while you're on top of the ladder, you just throw it in. It's a lot easier on the body. You're not having to lift so much, you're not having to bend down so much. You do have to climb a ladder, but it is easier on you, and you can move quicker. You can make yourself look better. The homeowner sees a lot of production. We see a lot of production, so it motivates us, and it keeps our bodies from not being so exhausted. So what comes next after you finish the walls and all of the headers and all of the beams? Well, what we do is we start bracing all of the walls off. We take our 2x4 and we nail it to the top plate at the very top up there, and then we take a level and you put it over there in the corner of the building, and you put the level over there, and you level the wall by pushing and pulling where it goes. And then once you get it where you like it, you take it and you nail the bottom, and then we add an extra nail in the middle to hold it and get it braced off. And so that is what we do after all of the walls are complete and finished framing, and that allows us to straighten everything out, get it nice and level and plumb, so that we can move on to doing the floor system for the second floor. Now that we're done bracing everything off, all of our walls are nice and level and plumb and straight, we are ready for the next phase, which is our floor system. So come back for the next episode, which we're going to show you guys a lot of details in that on how we accomplish the floor system. But let's get back to some details on what we're doing on the first floor. Number 5 is how we're going to fasten this bottom plate to the concrete. It's pretty simple. So the concrete guys, what they do when they're pouring the concrete, they add this J-bolt into the concrete, and it gets set into the concrete, allowing us to bolt on our plate. So if you slide down this way, you can see that this bolt is sticking up just a little bit and allows us to put a washer on top, a nut on top, and then bolt down the entire plate to the concrete. As well as we're also coming back with our concrete nails, and we're putting those in as well with our ram set, and that allows us to hold it down in the meantime until we get our bolts put on or our nuts put on the J-bolt. So that's what we're doing for our bottom plate. Number 6 is on our studs. What we're doing particularly is we're using finger joint studs, and this allows for the stud to be a lot stronger and to allow it to not bow so much. And you may ask, how does splicing together a 2x6 make the house stronger and make the studs not bow? So this section of board, which is basically spliced right there and right there, it is a lot harder for a 16-inch piece of wood to bow than it is for an 8-foot piece of wood to bow. So that's why those are a lot cooler. That's why they're engineered, and that's why they're a lot straighter, which helps our plaster or our drywall come out smoother and helps our tile look better, and it saves everybody in the long run. Yes, they're a little more expensive, but it's worth it. Detail number 7 is how we do our headers for the first floor or for the entire home. All we do is we take 3 2x12s or 2x6 or 2x8, depending on what it's spec'd out for, and we take plywood, 1/2-inch plywood, and put that in between. And so why do we do that? Because what it does, it allows our header to find the full thickness of 5.5 inches. Typically, without the plywood, this is only 3 inches. So if you were to put those together and try to use them for a header, it would work, but you would have problems with your drywall. So you take a piece of plywood and you put it in between, which makes it 3.5 inches wide. And the same thing applies for a 5.5 inch wide. So you take that and then add another 1.5 layer, which creates 5.5 inches, and that helps with the finish out for the exterior of the home and the finish out for the interior of the home. Pretty much this plywood is just a filler, and that is how we do all of our headers. Number 8, we're using LVL engineered beams for details on the home to get bigger openings. For example, here in the garage where I'm standing right now, to get this full 18-foot wide garage door, we put in a big old beam so it can hold the second floor and so it could span a bigger distance, allowing us to have more of an open concept or a bigger opening. Now that I've shown you guys a bunch of details as to what we're doing in this home to make it more special and more cool and over the top, that's a wrap for this video. Thanks for tuning in with us as we showed you how we did the first floor of this home and how we framed all of the walls. Come back next episode and we're going to show a lot more details as to how we do the floor system and how we go about getting ready for the second floor. Until the meantime, keep on building.